Okay. All right, very well. So what I want to do is I want to just mention this because a lot of the stuff that I say about the mathematics of the Quran is not basically get transmitted. The value and the magnitude of this is basically being overlooked. So what I want to do is I want to go back to a couple of things that I had before, and so write something here as index 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 is 19, and so I have a lot of these things, and so this is the index of something, which is 19. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go to the 19th Mersenne Prime. Okay, and the 19th Mersenne Prime was discovered in 1962. Okay, it's not 1600 years ago or 500 years ago or 300 years ago. It's recent history. Okay, so the power of that Mersenne primes are of the form of 2 to the p minus 1. So p is the exponent of 2, and p is a prime number. So the 19th exponent is p of the 19th Mersenne prime is 4253. Okay. And so we go to chapter 42 in the Quran, and we find out that chapter 42 actually has 53 verses. Okay? There is a simple, beautiful property of this number, 4253, which happens to be the exponent of the 19th Mersenne prime. Okay? Discovered in 1962. So what I'm telling you today is that this cannot be done in 1960 because this number was not discovered yet. This property of the Quran could not be discovered in 1960. Okay? So it had to wait until 1962. By 1962-63, probably they found out that there are no other primes before this, so they did not index these things, but now they're indexing them all. Okay. So what does this mean? This means that if I want to get the 19th Mersenne prime, I have to multiply 2 by itself 4,253 times, and then I'm going to get a number which has 1,281 digits. It's a huge number. It's a very large number. But God's mercy has chosen the exponent, which is 4253, and chapter 42 happens to have 53 verses. Okay? So, we say, well, this is it. This is all. Okay. So we come in here again and we say, okay, what is the beauty about this thing? This has 4 digits, and those 4 digits happens to be consecutive digits. 2, 3, 4, 5. Very simple thing. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So if you write all the permutation of 2, 3, 4, 5, you get 24 of them. You get 24 permutations. Out of these 24 permutations, the 19th permutation happens to be 5, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's the 19th permutation, 5, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This one is a composite. Its index is 4, 5, 3, 7. That's the index of this composite. You go to the Quran again and you see that chapter 42 has 37 verses. Okay? And minding you that both of these surahs are Hamim initial surahs. Chapter 42 is the only Hamim initial surah that has two sets of initials. It's Hamim Ain Sin Qaf. So God is sort of giving you a hint that there is something important about 42. Okay. The 22nd permutation of this number, 4253, is 5342. The index of this composite happens to be 4635. And if you look at the Quran, chapter 46 in the Quran has 35 verses. And chapter 46 happens to be the last initial Hamim initial surah in the Quran. Okay? How is this for a sign from God? Okay. And none of this could have been done prior to 1962. This could not be described prior to 1962. So it had a time and a place for it. Okay? So you say, well, so what? 62 was a long time ago. I wasn't even born in 62. Well, then God said, okay, what we'll do is, instead of 2, I'm going to put, let me just go ahead and erase some of these. Except the 19th thing. Doesn't want to delete it, so let's see here. Can do it. Can go on. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and open up another one and try to find out why this is not working. Okay, there we go. So instead of 2 to the p minus 1, we're going to write 1 plus I to the power p minus 1. Now this becomes a so-called complex number, which has I, which is square root of minus 1. Okay? So if you look at these numbers were tabulated in 2010. Okay, and that's 11 years ago. 2010. So this cannot be described with this other sign about chapter 42 and see what this one is now. The 19th such prime, which is called Gaussian Mersenne Prime. Okay? The 19th one, the exponent P happens to be 3 happens to be 353. And again, if you go ahead and look at chapter 42, you notice that the count of Hamim in that chapter is 353. Because this happens to be the exponent of the 19th Gaussian Mersenne Prime. Okay? I mean, I don't know what else we want to give some gravitas to this. And don't look at it as something which is, well, it's coming every week. It must be a commonplace thing, so it's not important. Okay? These are important signs from God, and He tells us that if we do not pay attention to them, we are going to be in trouble. We just ignore them. We just said this is not important. Okay? So we had to wait until 2010 for these things to be tabulated, for these things to become visible to everybody. And all of a sudden, these numbers, they basically pop out of the thin air, telling you why chapter 42 is supposed to have 53 verses. Why is it the verse Quran is not correct? Because 42 has 50 verses, so that the verse structure in there is not correct. Why is it that the Hafs version is correct, has 53 verses? Goes well beyond that. It tells you which version is actually correct. It puts the spelling idea of how to spell things to a rest. It says, look, this is the way it's supposed to be spelled. And so in 353, if there is a missing ha or mim in there, it's going to be sticking out, and that version is not going to be correct. Okay. So, do we take this to heart or not? Okay. So, as you know that if I want to talk about this, okay, I'm gonna write over here. I think and write it. Okay. The 10th permutation of this is 3, 4, 5, 2, I believe. 4, 2, 5, I believe. Okay. The index of this one is 2969. And that number, 2969, tells you that chapter 29 has 69 verses. The 9th permutation is, I think this is 50. This is 52. 34, 25. The 9th permutation is index. This is the index of composite 39, 20, 3975. And you know that chapter 39 in the Quran has 75 verses. So you see, all of this, they come together, meshing together, telling you how important this is. that we have to take this to heart. So every week when something new comes up, I keep piling up on the old ones. We forget the importance of the stuff that we've already known because we didn't pay enough attention. We took it for granted. We basically said, so what? This is not important. But now the mechanism becomes more and more transparent to us because it tells, look, go and look for 19. Pay attention when God puts two sets of initials in there in chapter 42. Okay? Why is the number of initials in chapter 19 is 798, which is 19 times 42? Okay? So God wants to tell us something special about chapter 42. And we have to pay attention. So I hope that it's clearer now, and it gives you the magnitude and the gravitas of these. How beautiful and how intricate this design is. Okay. And so I'm going to stop here and we'll finish our program.